and welcome to the MKE Virtual Collaborative Urban Investment Town Hall meeting. I am Alderwoman Milele A, Coggs, and I am joined by each of my colleagues who will also say a few words of welcome for you. First, though, I want to thank each of you for taking the time out of what I'm sure is your busy schedule to join us to have this very important conversation about the $394 million with the American Rescue Plan that will be provided to the city of Milwaukee and how to spend it. Throughout today's event, you will have the opportunity to drop questions or comments or ideas of how you believe the money should be spent in the chat. So we ask that you do that throughout. You will hear presentations about the rescue dollars to learn more about it. And then we'll turn it over to you because we are here tonight to hear from you about your priorities with how you would like us to spend this money. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Alderwoman Lewis.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual town hall. I know we are all over virtual town halls, but just a little while longer. So we wanted to make sure that we are bringing this opportunity to you so that you can share your thoughts, your opinions. We are here to give you some information, but to listen to you. So make sure that you think about your questions, drop them in the chat because we will be bringing those up so that they can get answered. And then making sure that we get the rest of the information out to you. So share, make sure you share this, stay connected, tell your friends, and let's make sure that we are literally engaging in this process because $394 million that are unencumbered is historical. And it's something that we have the opportunity to change our situation, to change our circumstances, and to change our city. So let's stay engaged. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alderwoman Nikiya Dodd.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Just want to welcome everybody for being here on tonight. Again, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to share your thoughts and concerns, as well as how you think we need to be spending the federal dollars. So welcome, and with no further ado, I'll hand it over to Ashanti Hamilton.
You're muted.
Ashanti, you're muted.
I bet you I'm not muted now. All right, I wanted to say thank you, Alderwoman Dodd, for passing it over to me. I wanted to take a moment just to say thank you all for participating in this process. As my colleague said before, this is a historic moment for the city of Milwaukee, and this is an opportunity for us to be able to listen to you to see what some of your priorities are on how we can take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime investment in the city of Milwaukee, and what we can do to have the biggest impact in our neighborhoods. And we know that the biggest way of finding out how we can do that is listening to you. So we wanted to take the time to actually sit back, give you the information of the framework of how the federal government is putting a framework around these dollars, and then take the opportunity to listen and see what your priorities are as we move through this process. So we want to encourage you to stay engaged and take advantage of the opportunity that you have in helping to direct how this money is being spent. So thank you for being here tonight. And at this time, I'll pass it over to our president, Alderman Chevy Johnson.
Thank you, Alderman Hamilton, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to this American Rescue Plan Act listening session. As has been stated, and as all of you are aware, the city of Milwaukee, like many units of government across the country, is receiving an allocation from ARPA. The city of Milwaukee is receiving $400 million or so to battle COVID, to rebuild our economy, to stabilize housing, to put people to work, to name a few things that are allowed under the federal guidance for spending the funds. Being that the council members are closest to the ground representing diverse constituencies, members certainly have ideas about how we might go about spending these dollars for the betterment of our community, but that's not enough. Members of this council also want to hear directly from you about your priorities and how you'd like to see these funds expended in our neighborhoods. There are a lot of Milwaukeeans who have registered tonight, and the outpouring of participation is great. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear your ideas. And so we want to hear that so we can formulate a spending plan that lifts the tide in our entire community. So we're really looking forward to hearing that. And with that, I'll kick it over to Alderman Stamper.
Thank you. And we are appreciative of the turnout this evening. Welcome everyone, in particular 15th Automatic District residents. I hope you are tuned in this evening. It was important that we got together as a council. If you noticed, this is the north side of the council. African Americans looking for input for African American community investments. That was our main purpose of getting together tonight, to talk to our constituencies on how to best invest into a neighborhood that hasn't seen as much investment throughout the years as other parts of this city. So this once in a lifetime opportunity brings us together. And this is one of 3 opportunities to provide your input on how best you see fit for these ARPA funds. Number 1 is this evening. Number 2, you will receive a survey. Please e-notify with your alderwoman or alderman. We will be distributing surveys. And the 3, of course, like all the president said, we are the closest to the people. We are closest to you. We always accept emails and phone calls. And we are looking for the best way to spend this money, and the best way to do it is to involve the community. So this is our effort to involve the community. We changed the process. First, it is you all, then it is aldermen, then we will be submitting our request to the departments, and then departments will come before finance committee, then we will debate on the best way to distribute. So we're looking forward to this evening, and we are looking forward to this conversation and to the expenditure of these funds. Thank you so much. And we have one more alderman that represents the north side, my colleague, 15th district borders the 7th district, and a good friend of mine, Alderman Khalif Rainey. Close us out. And Alderman, I had the opportunity to pass it to the committee. Now I will be passing that opportunity to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Stamper, and thank you to the community for joining us this evening. I am Alderman Khalif Rainey, Alderman of 7th Automatic District, and I don't think that I can say anything more beyond what my colleagues have shared. I think they have eloquently explained to you all the purpose and the desires of this meeting. And I know you all have much to do this evening, take care of families and get prepared for the following day. So with no further ado, let's get into tonight's meeting. Alderwoman Coggs.
Yes, next we'll have up Dennis Yaccarino from the Department of Administration, the Budget Office, the Budget Director, who will go through, what the American Rescue dollars are, the timeline that we'll be receiving them, how much we'll be receiving, a general summary of what the guidelines are, and also he will likely speak to some of the additional outreach that will happen beyond tonight. After Dennis speaks, we will have the community be able to let us know what their priorities are. But please stay tuned for this brief presentation. Without further ado, Dennis.
Good evening. As the Alderwoman said, I'm Dennis Yaccarino. I work in the City Budget Office. I'm the Budget Director. And I do want to run through a little bit of the ARP Funding Guidelines. First, you should know the actual amount of money that the city will receive will be $394 million. However, you should be aware that there are many pots of money available for different things throughout the bill, including rent assistance, home ownership assistance, and others that we will try to be reaching out and getting some of that money in addition to what we have before us with the 394 million. The 394 million will come in 2 pots, basically. One should be coming in any day now. It would be 197 million. The other will come next year, roughly at this time. You will have until December 31st of 2024 to utilize the money. Just a little bit on the usages. Usages are really categorized into 5 areas. They support health expenditures. What I mean is they go to fund the COVID mitigation directly. They go for things like vaccinations and others. things directly related to controlling the virus. The next piece is addressing the negative economic impacts caused by the public or caused by the emergency. And I'll go into a little bit of examples with that for you. Lost revenue, the city experienced some lost revenue, especially in the parking areas. One example, less people use the parking structures. We did suspend violations at nighttime parking restrictions. So a number of citations have come in less. The other piece is providing a premium pay for essential workers, and I'll go into that a little bit more. And also, it allows the investment in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. The public health response includes the same vaccination, medical expenses, testing, contact tracing, the protective masks and things like that. But it also includes mental health treatment, substance abuse, and also crisis intervention, which we'll look strongly at those areas as well. The bill also allows us to address those negatively affected by the pandemic. How that works is there's a number of ways we could use this money. We can use it to help with food, housing, rent assistance is one area, utility payments. We also are looking into whether property taxes could be used for this. But the idea with that section is to keep people in their houses. This next section in that same disadvantaged section is supporting small businesses that have been affected. We had in the last go around various amounts of money went out to small businesses to help them stay in business and keep employing people. The other piece in this section is also speeding up recovery in some areas that were dramatically hurt by COVID. Mainly tourism, travel, and hospitality are some of the areas, but there are also other areas that could be possibly we could possibly use money to help support as well, and also to rebuild some city services that were affected by the pandemic as well. Another area is serving the hardest hit communities and families. This will address the health disparities and the social determinants of health, and try to improve those disparities. The other piece will be investing in housing in neighborhoods. We'll likely have some housing programs of varying degrees addressing educational disparities. I should note that the MPS did get about $730 million of its own funds, but we will be looking at whether we can work with them in that area or not. Other is childhood health environment as well. There is potential for us to use this money for lead paint abatement. Replacing lost revenue is pretty straightforward. We just have to follow the guidelines to come up with that amount. The premium pay can go to essential workers, those working at nursing homes, farms, food, janitors, sanitation type workers, and a number of those that have been impacted directly by COVID in their employment, including those that provide direct care and those that provide the needed basic essential services like groceries and restaurants and those things. And then straightforward piece is also investing in water and sewer. Just looking at whether we should invest in that. We have been told, by the way, that we should expect more money to come in the form of the jobs plan or work plan that is being formulated by the feds. That will likely pick up the cost of the water laterals. So at this point, we likely will hold off until we see if that bill passes and to see the direction. But there is help coming for that side as well. Broadband, obviously, there's a number of people who may not have full access to the internet or acceptable levels of speed. Funding will be used to do that, but we'll also look at how we can provide affordable broadband or internet service to communities. And I'll leave it at that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them as we go along. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for your presentation. So now the community has heard some of the categories and some of the guidelines that the $394 million can be used for. So I guess now is the time that we would turn it over to the community to hear from you, to hear any questions that you may have, but more importantly, to hear what your priorities, where you would like us to spend this money that we have until 2024 to spend. So hopefully you've been dropping questions in the chat, or you take the time now to put your questions or ideas or comments in the chat, and we'll begin with that. So with that, I'll turn it over to our assistants who will be helping us wade through those questions and or comments.
And Alderwoman, before we do that, would it be prudent for us to have Dennis just talk about the other pots of money that will be coming down from the other entities, just so that the community can get a holistic picture? And then we can open up for questions.
Definitely. And I know, Dennis, you touched on it a little bit. If you could elaborate about the other funds that are also coming down through the ARPA for other areas of government. And after you're done with that, if you could just speak briefly about what the other engagements that are planned for the public to have opportunities to weigh in on the distribution of this money as well.
Yes, sorry, I did forget that last piece, but let me speak to the money coming to the at least the state and the local area. The state is going to receive $2.5 billion. They can work with us as well, and we've approached the state to work with us to share some of that money, because we would love to spend some of their money just as well as our money. The county will receive $184 million, and as I mentioned, MPS is going to get about $730 million for educational type purposes. So we're all working together there. Beyond this meeting, and I believe there was mention of a survey prior, there is work being conducted to get a survey out to all and put it on a website. There'll be a special website for the ARP funds that we're working on that will include a number of things, but one will be a survey. The other will be information on public meetings as well. We are going to try to reach as many people as we can. We're also looking at how do we reach the people that may not have this type of internet service? How do we reach all of those that may not be able to communicate with us through this medium? So we're looking at that place. So we do want to get input as much as possible, and also we will be working on putting packages together that we will be discussing with the council. But also on that website, we also show what expenditures we are going to be making, include a great deal of transparency. So when you go to the site, you'll be able to see exactly what we're spending the money on. And it will be based on the plan that will also appear on the website. So that's a little bit of an update of everything that we're going to have going on with the communication back to the community. Thank you.
And so just so that we hit home again, while the city is receiving $394 million, how much is the state scheduled to receive for American Rescue dollars?
They're receiving 2.5 billion.
And how much is the county scheduled to receive?
They're getting 184 million.
And how much is MPS scheduled to receive?
And I believe that number is about 730 million.
Thank you. I think that's the point specifically that Alderwoman Lewis was trying to get to. So yes, we'll turn it over now to questions. Akua. I'll ask one question and someone text him who's on the phone, so they wouldn't be able to put it in the chat. Akua is getting ready to access those next questions. The question is there an ability to find money for rehabbing houses and making houses available for the homeless under this ARPA fund? Dennis?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Is there an ability to find money for rehabbing houses or making housing available for the homeless under the ARPA funds?
Yes, there are a number of ability under housing. The category is pretty broad. It will allow for new construction, rehab of existing houses, and well as housing the homeless, as well as working with HACM for rental properties as well through their programs. So it is pretty broad, and it is a high priority.
Thank you. Next question, Akua.
Okay, someone asked, what about investments in technology solutions?
Those are allowed under the bill. Some will be directly to help with city operations, but there'll also be funding available for broadband type access and other technology type things. So we are still researching all of the detail of the bill, and we'll see how wide open the bill is in that area.
What is the internet infrastructure plan for zip codes with poor connectivity?
I can speak to at least what we've been talking about from the administration side, which I believe all here will be agreeable to, but we are looking at what we need to provide that type of access so everybody in the city has access to the same level of internet. That service there's no more disparity in the type of service you receive. The other piece that we need to also look at that we're working on will be how do we make it affordable. A lot of those internet services now may offer those high speeds in all areas, but they charge significant amounts of money. So we're looking at also affordable internet.
And can I just chime in on this one really quickly too, because this is a piece of legislation that I passed with the council support several months ago for our elders in our senior communities throughout the city, in addition to our families and our children, and to making sure that we have access across the board in the city. And so these are conversations that we are having and have been having. It is, as Dennis said, the price point and being able to negotiate a viable and fundable type of broadband access. So this is something that we've been working on, something that I've been working on for the last several months, especially in the heart of this pandemic. So this is something that we are paying attention to.
I would just add that the city has begun making sure that there is Wi-Fi access in parks, particularly parks that are in areas that are less served. by broadband. Additionally, myself and President Johnson recently participated in a meeting sponsored by County Executive David Crawley, where the state, the county, NPS, and the city are attempting to work together collectively towards solutions to ensure that broadband is available throughout the city of Milwaukee and the county of Milwaukee. And some of these resources on all levels may be used towards that end. So the question was, what is the internet access plan? I would say that there is not an access plan that is clearly defined at this point, but there is collaborative efforts on all levels of government taking place as we speak to ensure that that access will in fact happen. Next question, Nikiya.
Is there funding available to help current homeowners with major home repairs?
To straightforward answer that, yes, there will be. It's really a question of how we set up those programs. But we are looking at, I'm not sure if any of you have taken part in the code compliance funds that we've set up before. That helps individuals that have been approached by DNS for violations, and that fund helps them pay for those repairs, because the last thing we really want to do is write up houses, and we'd like to just get those houses repaired before those costs start adding up on the homeowner.
Can funds be made available to expand the city lot program, allowing residents to purchase and enhance?
That I am not.
I'll take that, Dennis.
Yeah.
Yes, Alderman Coggs and I have a program where you can take advantage of our artistic music, anything art related type program, and it's related to rehabilitation of foreclosed homes, homes that need rehabilitation, but also beautifying parks and lots. So that could be an idea where we can add to an existing program that is for beautification.
What priority is given to providing funds for existing organizations who are currently doing home repairs for groups, existing homeowners, and have been during all of COVID?
We just need to explore all the details on that. Obviously, funds will be made available to assist with remodeling home, fixing up homes, and so forth. So there will be a spot for organizations like that. We just need to work out the details on how to get those funds to the groups.
Dennis, I'll also add to that. Don't forget about Black grant funding. There's a significant amount of funds that has went towards Black grant funding for organizations to be reached out to their particular areas in the NSP program for rehabilitation and home essential repair assistance.
And then I'll just add that I think that it sounds almost in line with the emergency housing program that we, myself, Alderman Stamper and Alderwoman Coggs, have been working on over the past maybe year or so, that we've had some success with. So it looks like that could be something that we could explore to add some additional dollars to provide funding for organizations in that already existing pot.
Someone says, I encourage the city to invest in upgrading its bus stops. This directly improves the quality of life and safety for essential workers, pedestrians, and transit riders across our city. Many bus stops throughout the city of Milwaukee that MCTS provides service to do not have seating, lighting, or shelters. Every stop needs a concrete base in order to install.
Just so that the public is clear, we do work with the county, but the bus system is controlled by the county. And any comments and or questions today that may be better suited for a different area of government, we're more than willing to share them with them as well. So we'll make sure that our folks in DPW hear this concern, but we'll make sure to share it with the county who have the greatest control over that.
Yes, and do not forget, they have 184 million. 184 million.
And can I just chime in really quickly, not to that point, but I was just asked a question. Will funding be available to help build a family entertainment center, including a skating rink, bowling alley, skateboard park in the heart of Milwaukee, as well as entertainment for youth? Reggie Brown is asking this question.
That is a great question, and I'm not sure at this point. That I think it's something that we will be looking at, because there's several things on our list to look at like that. I do know that we are looking at several facilities that are publicly used that we hope to be able to fund as well. Have not heard and discussed an entertainment center, but we'll be glad to add it to the list to look at.
For me, I would love that idea, and something that we needed other cities have, but it's going to take a partnership, to be honest with you. We need a leader to take the initiative that the city can partner on, and then we can look at block grant funds to help partner that, maybe even a tip. So that's something we need. And I know my colleagues and I, we talk about it all the time, a way to enhance activities for the youth. So definitely something we need. So the community out there, innovative thinkers out there, if you can get together a group and come bring it to us with a proposal, we can work something out or think about it, try to put it together. Thank you.
And then I'm sorry, cool. I'll just add that I would also, as you all know, that we've been trying to work on a track, what is it, to curb the reckless driving. It is the speedway that they've been creating. And so we've been trying to find a good amount of a good piece of land that would be suitable to do the drag racing. And so this could be in one complex. So as we are looking at this as from a holistic approach on how to have youth entertainment, I think if we add that portion as well, that could be like a one-stop area where we can have it all contained in a particular location that would be suitable. So as we're looking at this holistically from funding as well as partnerships, I wanted to add that piece in, because this is definitely something that we've been scouring the city to try to find a good quarter mile.
Cool.
I'm gonna say, continued support for foreclosure and eviction prevention will be essential.
We all agree on that, so absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
One moment.
These are some good questions, everyone. Keep them coming.
While Akua is finding her place, I'll read one. It says, this is a priority I want to see supported. Create a participatory budgeting trust with a budget of 200 million, 100 million for each round of ARPA dollars. This money should be distributed amongst all districts with more funding and priority to marginalized, directly impacted districts that will allow residents from each automatic district to have decision-making power on how this large influx of money should be spent through this participatory process. Residents, along with their district aldermen, would propose how funds should be invested, and residents would vote. This would ensure communities have real decision-making power on what their neighborhoods need. There are over 650 examples of participatory budgeting in the United States, including Seattle, New York City, Chicago, and Durham, North Carolina. To that point, I would say a couple of years ago, based on community input, we as a council supported the creation of a participatory budgeting process. Last year was our first time doing the education piece and having a public survey of how people prioritize the money to be spent. And know that I think we as a council have shown a commitment to exploring participatory budgeting. And just personally, I agree that this money is an opportunity for us to really put some money behind the process and let people have an impact. And I think it's something that many of us members have been discussing. The form it comes out in and how much will be attached, I think, is yet to be developed. But I do think it's something that is front of mind for many of us. And we have historically supported the concept of participatory budgeting as well.
Someone
Nikiya,
asked,
you got the next?
what about transitional job programs, and what is the process for making the final decision as to the amount and allocation purpose?
Well, the final decision is always by the council as far as the majority of the votes. But when I think of transitional program, I think about the extension of our COMPETE program. So COMPETE has been successful in getting people to training and opportunity for initial jobs. We're still working on a method to get them hired within the city and a more of a permanent basis type program. So right now we can look forward to a Milwaukee program and look to expand, grow, or enhance that program. Specifically to transitional.
For process sake, I will say this, and Dennis, correct me, or anybody correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, the mayor or any council member will have the ability to create a resolution directing the expenditures of the funds. We have passed legislation that says there needs to be a public hearing on any of the funds that are proposed to be spent. Any public input needs to be gathered. But either the mayor or a council member has the ability to put forward a resolution on the expenditure. Any resolution will come before the finance committee. It's a 5-member committee of which Alderman Michael Murphy is the chair. Once it is voted up or down at the finance committee, it will come before the full council. Generally speaking, if I'm wrong, correct me, it'll take a majority vote, which is 8 members of the 15-member common council would have to support it. The mayor has the ability to sign it or to veto it if he chooses to. If he vetoes it, the resolution, it will have to come back to the council, and I believe we would need 10 votes to override his veto. And that's how the process of okaying or not the allocation of the funds will likely move forward. Next question, Nikiya.
Says myself and many others think we should spend $100 million to replace the horrible street lighting system. Yet from what I hear, the only infrastructure allowed is water, sewer, and broadband.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues that we're exploring. We do have some time to comment on the guidelines to the federal government. We definitely are going to take advantage of that. But yes, street lighting is an issue. We understand the number of outages have to be reduced and more reliable street lighting needs to be provided. So we are we're looking at various levels of funding for that as well. We're also looking at street lighting in the sense of smart streets, where you can also put some wireless connections or broadband type connections on the street lights as well. So definitely on our plate. Right now, we're just not sure if it's allowable under the current guidelines.
Okay. Another housing.
Dennis, real quick, did we receive the guidelines for the infrastructure money?
No, we have not seen that. I believe the bill is still in the process at the federal level, and they're talking about various levels of funding for that. And so hopefully in the next month or so, we'll start to see that.
And for the public's edification, what they're talking about, I think the current name of the bill is called the Jobs Plan, and it is being debated at the federal level. But much of the money is allowed to be allocated for infrastructure. And if and when it is passed, it is another financial tool that will likely be able to be used for lighting. Cool, next question.
Okay. Provide housing assistance, which includes rent, mortgage, utilities, deferment, and/or cancellation, long-term eviction, moratoriums, and direct funds to invest in community-led development, housing initiatives, and community land trust.
I think we all hear that loud and clear. Cool, go to the next one.
Given the role of community-based organizations play in addressing, they have experienced increase in demand of service without funding. Is there money being allocated to support the capacity of CBOs?
The AOTA question.
Yeah, I am not sure if these funds in particular can be used, but as Alderman Stamper brought up before, there are some CDBG funds still available that we could look at.
Priorities and efforts to improve health and well-being of communities of color, home ownership, small businesses, development, and business development mentorship. Another question. There is a core group of us interested in bringing mobile medical units in our community to expand access to care, including COVID mitigation and education. Could some of these funds support such an effort?
From the surface of everything I've seen so far, it's likely yes. I think it would just be working out the details.
Okay, while you're looking, I have one from Michelle Hinton. Does the broadband dollars provide expansion of telehealth services?
I don't believe it directly does. However, a good internet connection would allow that ability and allow better service to all of those trying to use that type of access to healthcare. So I would hope that indirectly it's a benefit from the broadband improvements we can make.
Question. I understand we need businesses in our community, especially businesses focused on engaging our youth in safe and productive activities. However, businesses tend to suffer and leave due to high crime, such as theft. So many businesses have came and gone at Midtown Shopping Center. To help give businesses opportunities to strive, can we have more security and police visibility, especially in the business areas?
We're not exactly sure at this point if the funding will cover any policing. However, there is mention of alternative type policing. So we are strongly going to look at our Office of Violence Prevention and see what we can perhaps either implement new or expand.
Someone
And I'll
asked
just-
how much money will be.
Cool, I'm sorry. I just wanted to expand upon that. I just wanted to chime in on that one. Myself, Alderwoman Coggs, and Alderman Kovac are leading the effort on the diversion program to see how we can ensure that there is other measures taking place so that the community can be safe in all aspects. So that task force has been crafted and will be launching in the next couple of weeks. And we will be making the announcement of all of the task force members. And the goal is to have some measures in place for the summer, probably not a full scale diversion program because that will take time, but there will be some measures that we can implement for this summer. So just know that that is in the works and it's coming.
That's excellent, that's excellent, Alderwoman Lewis. But based on the response from Alderwoman Coggs and our program, based on the alert program and nosy neighbor program, between the amount of calls and the abundance of correspondence we've received, it looks like we have support for expanding the alert neighbor program, where residents are organized, receive cameras, lights, and signage to protect their neighborhood. I know the police are super supportive, and I like to see that program expanded. Right now, it's just a pilot, but it looks like we can expand that program with the amount of interest that it has garnered. So 9th, the 2nd, the 7th, the 5th, and beyond.
Will new businesses have an opportunity for funding if the new businesses cover some of the disparities?
I don't really quite get that question. Will new businesses have funding if they solve some of the disparity issues?
If they cover it,
If they cover it,
yes.
like help out with the disparities? Well,
I guess
again,
it's probably categories.
Okay, well, we will be looking to support small businesses and businesses that have suffered through the pandemic. So I don't know what's the degree yet. Dennis, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, I'm just not sure how well we can use the money directly for new businesses, but we will definitely explore that possibility because we want to be there to help those businesses get started. Now, if we can't use these funds, we can definitely look at our other sources that we have available to us. I think when we were looking at the opportunity on this funding, I am working directly with the Office of Equity and Inclusion to look at areas where there are disparities and resolving some or addressing some, hopefully significantly with these dollars, given that it is a large sum. So we would like to use in that direction. So in this case, if a new business did fill that disparity, we would be looking at what our available options are. And if those weren't available, we would look for something else.
How much money will be allocated for real estate development?
I'm not sure if you're referring to housing as real estate, but there'll be a significant amount. We haven't worked out an amount amongst us all yet, but it will be significant.
Someone says, do you plan on offering competitive requests for proposals where local businesses, nonprofits can present a plan for the use of these dollars?
I think you
I
got
don't think
all of us
anything has
nodding
been
our
set in
heads.
stone, but right. I don't think anything has been set in stone, but that sounds like something that might be doable. That we can work with the administration to help make happen.
Definitely, the input is wanted and will be accepted, and we can take a look at this. I think this is the time to get creative and think outside the box. So be glad to work with all of you.
It said, what resources will be used to keep homeowners, low income homeowners in their homes, especially on the north side?
There are monies available, or we can use the money to keep homeowners in their house as well as renters. So we will be looking at what's available to us and how we can do that. But there are the possibilities of using funds for mortgages assistance, also utility payments, and even taxes, all in an effort to make sure people stay in their house.
Dennis, are you updated on the legislation that I think President Johnson, Alderman Coggs sponsored regarding the 15 million that came to us for that particular service? What's the update on that? Has that been exhausted, or is there still funds available to keep people in their house from that second allocation of 15 million?
I think you're referring to the rent assistance that we just received. Yes, that'll be going out. Hopefully, it's already going out the door, and we do have a little more flexibility with that amount. That comes from a separate pot of money, but still very valuable to us. But it can also help with utility payments as well as just the rent.
Yeah, thank you. Who's distributing that money, Dennis? Put that up. Put that to the community real quick. Who's distributing that money?
SDC is
SDC.
working with us.
Social Development Commission on 16th and North in the 15th Automatic District.
And I will chime in and say they just opened up a 9th district location right on 76th Street off of Brown Deer Road. So you have two options to get access to those programs.
Cool. Next question or comment?
Okay. I have a transitional living home. Will my business be eligible to receive funding? If so, what is required of me?
I am not sure if I fully understood the question, but if it's a small business assistance, they can talk to the Milwaukee Economic Development Corporation. That will likely be dealing with our small business activities. At this point, I believe they've exhausted funds. So in this new allocation, we will likely be setting some aside for small business. And they will be the contact, or you can contact the Office of City Development and they can help you as well.
How high is a priority for access to quality and affordable childcare to the alderpersons? This is a huge opportunity to ensure that we significantly expand access to affordable quality childcare in our Black and Brown communities.
I'll just chime in real quick and say, as a parent who's virtual with her kids, I absolutely agree with this.
Same here. Next question,
Will we see what and where the money is being spent?
Yes, there will be a website. The Common Council did direct us to do that, as well as we were already in the process of developing that. So but we are going to have that website. We will let you know where that can be found. But the idea will be there to keep it as current as we can, so you can go to it and see exactly what's going out the door.
And I'll just chime in for that previous question. If you have ideas on how to best expand childcare access and just education on that end, not the public school education, we're taking ideas as well, and it's for anything else. So this isn't just so you all know, this isn't just for questions. This is for ideas as well. So if you have those ideas, drop them in the chat. We will be capturing all of the questions and the comments in the chat and saving those and compiling them. So this isn't just a one-time thing. And then we will, and I know the Alderwoman mentioned it earlier, we will be recording this and sending this out. So this will not be the only time that you will be able to see this and to hear the questions that were asked, because sometimes we do miss some of the questions while we're trying to think of other things. So this will be a continuous process. And as Alderman Stamper said, if you have other ideas, send them to us. We're always taking emails. That is what we do on a day-to-day basis. So just make sure to drop your solutions as well as your questions. And I'll turn it back over to you, Akua.
What about investing in technology solutions? And another one is, can we put money towards financial training for financial report for small businesses unable to complete grants because they don't have balance sheets and profit and loss statements? Only 1% minors receive the small business grants.
I think it's one of those things that we should look at, and hopefully it is allowable under the bill, because I think that would go a long way to help a number of small businesses.
And it also sounded as if it was a WIBIC partnership to me. And so something that we could leverage that and expand in that aspect, because that's what they're supposed to be doing as well. So that's a good question.
And I've also encouraged the administration to talk back with some of the businesses and agencies and organizations, chambers of commerce, others who have helped bids, who helped small businesses to fill out for the previous grants, to see, what was missed, what gaps were there, how could it have, the process have been better, or the offering been better and more helpful for businesses, so that whatever grants we're able to give to small businesses with this ARPA money, that we make sure to build upon and improve upon what was done before. So if you have knowledge of or went through the process before and there were challenges or things you think could have made it easier or been easier for other businesses to be able to access that money, please share that with us and share that with the administration, so that as we carve out what it actually looks like, that it is the greatest aid possible for the businesses in the city of Milwaukee. Cool.
Okay. What about road repair and ensuring better and informative training for police officers?
Good question on both. We're not sure either is covered under the bill, because like we did talk about infrastructure, that water and sewer are the only pieces that are directly talked about. But we're hoping to be able to do some roads, definitely, because we do know there's a lot of issues with roads as well. So we would like to address that. We're also going to pay attention to the jobs plan that's coming out as well. We're hoping that we can get some money from that bill as well. For police training, I'm not sure if these funds can be used for it, but I definitely would like to hear what your thoughts are. And we have in the past included funding in the police department for training, but if there is a gap, I would like to hear about it.
Listen. We need a housing trust fund for each community allocated equitably based on need. Trust funds should be restricted to renters and owner occupants, excluding landlords who don't live in the community and resident-led community organizations. Can we consider modeling our effort to properly use this life and city changing money after the Oklahoma City Maps programs? You would put together groups like Wisconsin.
So just for clarity, Oklahoma City Maps is the name of the program? Is that how it reads?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please send it to us. I need that.
Okay. For Alderman Rainey particularly, but open to others, have you considered adding ARPA funding to fresh food access grant funding, particularly to fund larger capital projects that help increase food access? Food insecurity and exacerbated food inequities were mentioned many times in the Treasurer guidance. Since that grant program is established, it's shovel ready as a mechanism for getting money to food access.
Thank you for the question. I have had the opportunity to speak with Mayor Baird and members of the administration in regards to providing members of our community with fresh food access. So please, if you have any thoughts, you could email me, let me know what you're thinking, but we do have that in mind. So thank you for the question.
I'll just chime in really quickly. I had a question that was asked, that was sent to me, wondering if there was a possibility to have a grant writer that would be able to do technical assistance as well as a grant writer for those small businesses who could not afford them, or that is not knowledgeable in the process for new business owners, especially nonprofits. Is that something that could happen under this funding?
That I am not sure. I would have to look into that if that is one of the areas of assistance. Normally, these funds have been direct dollar amounts to small business as a grant to be used. So I'm not sure if they can just do that on their own, if that's allowable under what we can grant to them, but definitely we will look at every possibility that's there.
Okay, and maybe CBD.
Yeah, I would just add too that I think with the CARES Act money, a lot of business improvement districts as well as Chamber of Commerce ended up being those groups that people leaned on to help them fill out the paperwork. I don't know if that same thing will happen or if it may be financial assistance for those groups and others to help. But it's definitely something I'm more than willing to work with you to explore because it's definitely needed.
Yeah, if it was an application for the city funds, we definitely don't want that to be a barrier to a business receiving funds. So do reach out to us so we can work that out, and we can provide somebody from either Department of City Development or from MEDC, Milwaukee Economic Development Commission. So we can do that. I'm sorry, I think I misunderstood, and we're looking at grant writing for other purposes. So I apologize for that. And but yes, we want to make the applications easier and not be something that discourages individuals from applying.
Will there be funds available for post-secondary education or retraining for those changing careers because of COVID?
I know we're looking at a number of things in the jobs area, and that will be a significant investment. I believe this is one of the areas that is likely to be addressed.
Can we use funds to support DPW to implement complete streets improvements that would reconfigure streets to be safe for people and help address reckless driving?
Definitely would love to use it for that purpose. We're just not sure under the guidelines if we can. But we're going to look, and it will be one of those things that obviously we'll ask the federal government to make available. But we did want to spend, if allowable, some funds on that area, because we do know the serious problem reckless driving is.
Someone have internet access at parks. What is the timeline for parks within the inner city, as the list is varied, and zip codes where they're not able to afford it? And another question, is there any money available for churches who lost during the pandemic? And is there any funding stream that addresses environmental issues? And what about arts and arts organizations?
I'm not sure if you're referring to funding of the arts. I believe there is some ability to do that. I don't recall if it was this bill or another bill. And could you repeat the other part? I'm sorry.
Let me find it again.
You still have it? Sorry about that.
No problem.
No, I'm laughing at Walter. I'm loving this banter that he's doing with the sign language. Great job.
Yeah, I know
Well,
what he's saying
because
by
of
his
my
I know what he's saying by his facial expression. I don't know about the hands going off the face.
Was it the church question, Dennis?
No, it was right after the church one.
It was in line
I
with the
think it
art.
was just asking if it's some art, if it's gonna be art money made available out of the ARPA fund.
Yeah, and I just can't tell you at this point if it's in there or not. I do know some areas of the bill are specifically written to help those in that area with separate funding. I am not sure if we can use these fundings.
So
then I'll just
I see a few of the questions being asked about things that the city may not have. So I would say, instead of saying, will there be funds available, say, hey, we recommend funds be available for this. So as we move forward on our chat and questions, because we're going to put together proposals and ideas. So it'll behoove you to say, hey, we would like to see money go this place. We would like funding to go this place. So instead of a question on will there be fund, well, we don't know. We are asking you all, where would you like to see the money? So Dennis may not be able to have an answer, or we may not be able to have an answer because we don't have that particular program yet. So a suggestion or recommendation is more than welcome.
And then I wanted to just chime in really quickly as we're talking about the arts. I did receive a question about what support for small businesses. Apparently, the art small businesses were kind of etched out of the support. And so one in particular, they had to close their gallery because they were not receiving any type of support during COVID. And so as we're looking at arts as a whole, I think we should absolutely take a look at that as well, how we can bring back those programs or those galleries and small businesses that were impacted due to COVID.
Someone says, dumpsters and sanitation pickups. City is experiencing a lot of dumping in the alley and vacant lots. Okay.
I'm sorry, cool. What was the question regarding vacant lots?
They pretty much seem like they want funding for dumpsters and DPW allocating, because a lot of dumping there are dumping is in the alleys.
Oh yeah. We put forth this council put forth a program where we're going to highlight the top 10 or top 15. Alderman Coggs, let me know the top 10 areas of illegal dumping. So that was done in the 2021 budget. So we're just looking for the locations now, then the implementation of the camera. So once this program is up and running, this will be a way to expand it because we are all too familiar with the illegal dumping problem in the city of Milwaukee, particularly us 7 aldermen.
And I think, cool, we'll take one last question before we do a close.
Alderwoman Coggs, if I could just interrupt quickly.
Go ahead.
In regards to illegal dumping, I did have an opportunity to speak with Dennis in regards to finding a surveyor who can travel our districts and identify illegal dumping and compromised infrastructures, potholes, and etc. So that is something that we're seeking to get done with this ARA money. And I think it'll help expedite getting those things reported back to the city and get those things cleaned up sooner than later. So thank you for that question. That's a good question.
That's a wonderful question. But as you see that garbage community, report that. MKE mobile app, download your app, take a picture and submit it. Don't just drive past that garbage. Don't just drive past that bumper. Don't just drive past that filled up garbage can and stuff on the street. Call that in. Thank you, community.
And just to piggyback off of that, that was one of the things that the littering fine was increased for. Now it is $500 that Alderman Stamper took the lead on. So when you report that, and you can get, you could just upload those pictures right in the app. So if you can take a picture of the particular issue, you can report it if you haven't seen the person actually doing it. But if you are seeing the act happening in real time, you could take a picture of the license plate as well as the trash or the litter or whatever, and upload it right on the app, and that fine will get sent to that person. So we all have to do our part in making sure that we are keeping Milwaukee beautiful.
Yes, and let me add to that. Excellent, Alderwoman Lewis. We have the big clean in the city of Milwaukee. So if you see those garbage cans on the corridors, those are available if you contact your alderman. We put about 300 to 350 out in the community, but they're available. We have about 150 more. And as the demand comes in, we may be able to allocate more funds for more garbage cans, because as you can see, they're full and the community is using them. So if you need a garbage can on a corridor that we have missed, because I've seen them throughout the entire city, please contact your alderman. Thank you.
Cool, you got a final question for us or comment?
If I can just do 2 more really quickly. One is more a comment. We would like the Office of Violence Prevention to report out to the community on projects and programs and the impact of those projects. And question, how has the rescue dollars been channeled for those community groups with boots on the ground who have not had as much funding to receive direct funding to spread the monies in the very needed communities? Meaning organizers and organizing organizations are not spreading money to other neighborhood groups beyond block parties. when the funds are more needed for other initiatives.
As I always say, thank you to all of the community groups on the ground. Thank you so much. We know who you are. We know you contribute to the success and help of this city. But as I always tell you, you want some funds, you have to apply. Please apply for these funds through Community Block Grant. Get your nonprofit together, get your 501(c) together, get you some experience, fill out the forms, and they're right online, Milwaukee.gov Block Grant Office. We've hosted this yearly, and we've done it for the past 6 years in partnership with the council. So we're looking for funding for those programs that do all the work, but you have to apply, which means you have to fill out the paperwork. So we can submit to you funds based on your services that you provided. So it has to be a government, it's a government way that you have to apply, and you have to apply through Community Block Grant funding. So we're supportive, but you got to apply.
Thank you. And we would all, and any of the other sponsors can speak as well in closing. For any questions that were not answered here tonight that were dropped in the chat, we will be saving all of the questions and comments. If there are any questions, we can work with the budget office director to provide an answer to the asker of the question. Additionally, when this is over, there will immediately be a short survey, I believe, with 4 questions for you to answer. Please answer it. It is an opportunity for us to gather information that will further help us as we make decisions about this money. There will also be a follow-up survey emailed to everybody who registered and attended. Please answer these surveys so that we get a showing of your thoughts as we move forward. The engagement that the budget director talked about, the public surveys, and multitude of other ways that you will have over the next several years between now and 2024 when we have to spend all of these dollars. Please take advantage of them. We truly do want to hear from you, and we want to know the direction that you all want this money to be spent. This is some once in a generation funding, and we want to make sure to have real impact with real people. So again, thank you. Thank you to the sign language folks that helped us out this evening. Thank you to the budget director for helping us out. Thank you to the city channel for bearing with us with this technology. And we thank each of you for tuning in. Additionally, we will have this taping available later so people can see it, or you can share it with others who may have missed it. And we are accepting solutions, suggestions, and ideas from now until every last cent is spent. So feel free to email us, call us, stop us on the street and talk to us about how you think this money should be spent, because we truly do want to make the best decisions possible for our community. So again, thank you, and please answer the surveys. Did anybody else want to say a few words as we leave out?
Just thank you.
So I'm gonna say this too. Hold on one second, Russ. I'm gonna say this. This is our first time. This is kind of historic. This is our first time doing this type of town hall with so many of the North Side aldermen. My hope is that we do this again, because we're all facing some of the same issues across district lines, across geographic lines. And the more that we connect together and connect with the people we represent, I think the greater power we have. We're trying to push for solutions in this city. So this has really been a monumentous experience. And my hope is that we take from this some great stuff that we're able to build upon. But I just had to say that as I look at all of y'all. But go ahead, Russell. Alderman Stamper.
Thank you. I just agree with Alderwoman Coggs 100%. Thank you all for coming. I did enjoy us hosting a collaborative community meeting tonight. And I would like for us to do this again. I enjoyed this, and I would like to have, we like listening to the community. So thank you all for attending tonight. And I'm closing by saying thank you and have a good evening. Be safe out there.
And I'll just chime in really quickly and say, this is definitely something that I would love to see again. We definitely need to do this a lot more often because our communities face different issues, and there is a huge disparity. And so when we come together, we can make monumentous things happen. So I wanted to just say thank you to the community for coming in and sticking with us and engaging with us and putting your questions in the chat. Again, I just wanted to reiterate, this is not the last time that you have to be able to submit your questions. Submit them in the survey. There is a space for you to do so. Email us or don't inbox us on social media, but email us to our offices directly so that we can make sure that your voice is heard in this process. But this has been amazing and phenomenal, and I wanted to say thank you to my colleagues for coming in together on this tonight and standing shoulder to shoulder so that we can do the work for the city, because this is when we work the best. So thank you all.